Hi guys and welcome back to Do It Yourself Fox. Today I have a special project I'd like to share with you, and it's how to make new wood look old, so that it looks like this drummer's cabin that I built. Here you can see it again up close. It's pretty cool and I always find it impressive. These are my tools. Here's everything you're going to need. A piece of wood that you want to distress, propane gas including a blowtorch, 2 clamps to secure the wood onto the stands, a cordless screwdriver or drill, a chisel, a wire brush and a hammer. As you can see, this is what I'm starting off with. It can also be a little bit dirty, which is rather normal for aged wood. Fasten it firmly onto the stands so that it won't move around while you work. I decided to mark the wood with signs of wear and tear, and to start off I will give it a kind of beveled edge, a very irregular one. I simply go over the edge relatively rough with a chisel and pull a lot of the wood up unevenly, thus achieving an inconsistent bevel. I also give it traces of use in the middle of the wood by hammering on it directly with a hammer or chisel. Here I even used the bottle cap to leave authentic traces of usage. It still looks a little hectic and not that cool yet, but in a moment the wood will be brushed and then I'll have a completely different feel to it. I use a wire cut brush, which can you simply attach to a cordless screwdriver and start brushing. Use the second gear or as fast as possible. It's even easier with an electric drill, but I don't have that on the hand at the moment. So just keeping brushing at the full throttle the whole time. Always brush along the gain, otherwise you will see scratches in there later that won't look so nice. Just experiment and try it out yourself, because you can't do much wrong. Just keep brushing at full throttle. I think it's cool when the structure is noticeable rough, especially when the edge is very rugged. Clean everything well for the firing process, which is the next step. Open the gas cylinder. Set the torch as well, which is a left-handed thread, and light it. Set the wood on a non-flammable surface and start with the edges. Because unlike the surface, which turns black quickly, the edges are much harder to darken. The edges and knots in the wood are always the weaker parts. That's why I like to start with the difficult areas, because the other part of the wood will carbonize quickly anyway. This usually doesn't take too long, and then you have a nice charred surface. It looks a bit too much at first sight, but now the hand wire brush comes into play. It is very important to only brush along the grain. There's a lot of ash and soot coming off, especially with the first few strokes. So it's best to do not this right outside the front of a door or anything. Unless you want unsightly backspots, brush the edges with the wire brush. I always do that since it looks nice and you will see later how it looks. In any case, I think it looks really good. Depending on how light you want to have it, brush it over again and later remove the dust with a simple brush. Or you can blow it off with a compressor gun, depending on how you want it, or even wash it off. This is a finished product. Wood that was new just a moment ago and now looks old and used. It has a brush finish and doesn't look like it was just bought at the store. You can see the edge I was talking about there. This is how I installed it later. In my church we had to build a pedestal for the drums. I covered it with a distressed wood and I think the end result is amazing. The wood grain looks really nice. If you like this video, share it, leave a comment and try it out. See you next time on Do It Yourself Fox.